Well, hey, welcome to the Life After Ministry podcast. We have made it to the end of season 5, and this makes 74 episodes in on this thing. And so we like to create a little bit of a rhythm here to be able to look back and see what the Lord has done, what we're learning, because we're always in process of learning. And as we go through this, I want to just start somewhere that's maybe personal. For the last couple of months, I've been in transition. We've moved offices. My dad has been fighting cancer again. We've built a new studio, and even though it looks like it's okay, it might look like progress, it might look like momentum. And really, as I look around here, it looks like we should be there by now. But the truth is, in lots of ways, I'm not there. And that's a lot harder to say out loud than I would like it to be. Sometimes when you're in transition, what it feels like is this, that your dinner guests, they showed up and dinner's just not ready. You've done the prep, but the kitchen's a mess. Everybody is there in that moment and they're standing around smiling. And inside you're thinking, I swear this made more sense in my head as I was going through it. And time gets away. And all of a sudden you're at this moment. And underneath all of that sense of being in transition, there's this quieter feeling. It's the feeling of I haven't arrived. And in ministry, that feeling can mess with you because arrival feels like faithfulness. Transition can feel like failure. But here's something that I keep coming back to as we've gone through these conversations. If God gives us 9 months to expect a baby, to prepare, to adjust, to make space for a new world, maybe some of our major life transitions deserve a little bit of space as well. Maybe a little grace as well. Because transitions are not instant, they are formed. There's a process to all of it. And so that's really what this episode is about. I really don't want this to be a victory lap. We're not going to make predictions about what's coming up next year. We have plans, but maybe this is more of a year end checklist. And we're going to see that there are things that are happening over and over again as we're walking with leaders and boards and organizations in real time. So allow me to just to walk through. Here are some things that kind of rose to the surface. Number one, transitions are happening later than they should. This is the first thing on the list. And really, if I could say anything, I would say most transitions are happening later than they should. And it's not because people don't care. It's not even that we are lazy, but it's really because everyone is trying to protect something. We have lots of really great conversations with great leaders, great organizations, great businesses, and they're trying to protect the mission. They're trying to protect the people, the reputation, the budget. And so what happens is leaders just push through and boards wait and everyone hopes that clarity will just magically show up. And what actually happens is in the process of that, momentum slows, the relationships start to strain, and eventually the transition, it comes anyways. It doesn't sit there and wait around. But when it comes, it's just louder and it's more painful. And we've learned that waiting does not make transitions easier. It actually makes them more expensive. And that's not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, and relationally. Have the conversation. Here's checklist number 2. Succession is the quiet crisis. Um, this is a silent crisis that almost no one wants to talk about. And we're seeing it across lots of different dynamics. Founder led churches, it could be long tenured executive directors, it could be leaders that are nearing an end of a season and they don't have a plan. It could be business leaders that started a company and don't know what's next. This conversation keeps getting pushed down the road because it feels awkward. We don't like awkward. Sometimes it feels disloyal. Sometimes it feels like it's premature. But here's what we've learned in our conversations, especially this year, that succession planning is not about replacing somebody. Hear that again. It's not about replacing someone. It's really It's asking this question, how can we steward what's been built? And this is really why we're genuinely excited. This year, we got to bring in Ron Henry into the ministry transitions team. And Ron is wired for the long game. And it's not really just who's next, but what does healthy leadership look like 5 and 10 years down the road from now? So we believe that if we can do this earlier, then you're going to create stability that goes longer. And succession delayed, it just creates confusion now and later. Here's checklist item number 3. This work is bigger than just churches. One thing that we've seen clearly this year, transitions aren't a church problem alone. We are working more and more with not just churches, but Christian nonprofits, mission-driven organizations. We could fit lots of things underneath that. Faith-based teams that are outside of traditional church, and even companies that are run by believers at the helm. It's the same dynamics, it's the same pain points, same identity questions, because ministry does not stop at the church door and transitions don't either. And we're seeing that all across the spectrum. This is a human thing. And so this is why this year, one of the things looking back, we changed our name from pastoral transitions to ministry transitions. And we didn't do that because we changed our mission or what we're doing, but really the name finally caught up to this work that we're doing. And we're so thankful for that. It gave us a lot of clarity and allowed us to open up the tent a little bit wider. Here's number 4. People are listening, but they're listening quietly. In fact, you're listening and you're probably listening quietly. This snuck up on us over the last 6 months. Something unexpected happened with this podcast, the Life After Ministry podcast. The numbers grew a lot. And I want to be clear, we're not pushing out there these vanity metrics. Most days I forget that we're recording this podcast from a basement in central Kentucky. But numbers, they tell a story. And the story that they're telling us is this: people are not just listening, they're listening quietly. And that makes a difference for me. And it makes perfect sense, right? Because so much of the work and the conversations that we are having and what we're doing, a lot of these things happen behind the scenes. These conversations are hushed. We're using different emails. They're anonymous. We're talking to people who are having these conversations with us from their cars. There's private meetings with hurting leaders or boards who are concerned. And this ministry, what we're doing is rarely public, and it's unseen. And it's almost always very tender. There's a sensitivity that has to be embraced in these conversations. So when we look back and we realize in the last 6 months alone, more than 100,000 downloads came from this small podcast. What it tells us isn't success. It tells us really that there's a lot of pain that just doesn't have a microphone yet. And so our hope is to be able to shine a spotlight on this and bring help. How about number 5? And this is a question that we always get, and I want to address it here as we're kind of running in towards the end of this. But this question is a question we get almost every time, whether it's from boards or organizations or pastors or leaders. And it usually sounds like this. What if we engage ministry transitions and we want to support a leader that we're going to have to let go, a leader who's going to be in transition? And what if they don't want help? So we're here to help, but what if they don't want the help? And it's a fair question. And it makes a lot of sense to ask. If I was spending the money, I'd probably be doing the same. Here's the truth. It's never been an issue. Not once. In fact, the opposite happens. When we're talking to a leader who's in transition, the leader is almost always relieved, because for many of them, it's really the first time that someone says, we care about you, not just the role that you filled. Not in every situation, of course, but we get to offer support with dignity, and that's not something that's threatening. It's actually disarming. And more often than not, it's the beginning process of healing. I hear a lot of people with a deep sigh of relief when they hear that they're going to have some help along the way. And we're pushing here toward the end, but I want you to understand number 6, support changes outcomes. Um, Here's the last item on the checklist and the one that we don't want to rush past. And this is important because we want to continue this work, but not every transition goes badly. Not every transition ends with somebody leaving ministry altogether. Not every phone call that we get means that somebody's going to lose their job. And not every transition has to hurt, but the difference almost every time is support. And let's just cut to the chase. Here's the hard reality. More than 2/3 of the leaders who reach out to us are already out. They've already been fired, already been forced out, already been burned out. And they're really at a place where they're just trying to make sense of what just happened. And the irony is painful. Listen to this. They need help most when they can afford it least. And we do everything we can to our own fault to not turn people away. And there are real costs to what we're doing: coaching, counseling, assessments, care. And so I want you to, if you're listening, I want to give you an invitation. If you are in a place where you can give, your support goes directly toward helping a leader in transition. Talking about financial donations, we can actually receive them and they go to real people who are in real moments and they're doing hard work of healing and they're trying to figure out what's next. And so I want to give you an invitation here at year end. You can give at ministrytransitions.com. There's a donate link on there. And I want you to understand this is not about funding an organization. It's really about helping to stand in the gap for someone who didn't see this coming. And really to see more of what we've been up to this year. You can see a lot of what's been happening in a deeper recap. We just put out our 2025 impact report. Maybe it's more of a progress report because we want to make progress here. And so as we're coming to the end and the closeout of this year, here's some things that I feel really hopeful about. We are seeing that there are leaders who are naming their transitions earlier. Just talked to a guy who said, thinking about leaving in 7 years. That's a good thing. There are more boards having braver conversations. And we are seeing more endings handled with care instead of silence or being dismissive. And there's more ministries choosing to multiply, not divide, which is what this is all about, right? Transitions are inevitable. And how we walk through them, though, it's a choice. If you are somebody who's in transition, I want you to know we see you. We're here to help. If you're leading an organization, if you're leading a business, we're cheering you on. And if you're able to support a leader right now who's walking through a transition, we just want to say thank you. So thanks for listening to the Life After Ministry podcast. Thanks for trusting us with these stories. We're really excited about the year ahead. And this is a good thing. Thank you for listening. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it. Invite them in and say, I don't know how to help, but I know somebody who does. So this is 2025. My name is Matt Davis, and this is the Life After Ministry podcast. Thanks for listening.